Hello, welcome to day 3. I am so excited to be here, and earlier in the day, my house is much quieter, although if I have any guesses here, my dogs are probably going to start barking. I was talking with one of my clients today about how she's a mom, and how when our kids get older, we miss that that love and excitement that they always have when they see you, and that's why you get dogs. So if you hear my dogs barking, those are my new babies. All right, so welcome to day 3. This has just been so fun for me, and I've really enjoyed sharing with you this unique insight that I have into the teenage world, into your daughter's brain and what she's going through. I've gotten some feedback from some of you that it's been really helpful, so I'm so glad to hear that. And today is no exception. Today is probably the most important day of all, because I'm going to be sharing with you exact steps you can take and things that you can do that she wants you to do to improve your relationship with her and to really truly support her and meet her where she is. So as always, if you're here live, thank you for joining me. Give me a little thumbs up. Let me know you're here. And if you're watching in the replay, hashtag replay in the comments, just so I know that you were here and we can connect that way too. So when I'm sharing this information with you today, I want you to always keep in mind the importance of having an open mind about what I share. Notice if anything that I say or that I share triggers you in some way or you have resistance to it. And always notice that feeling and let it come from a sense of curiosity. Why does it make you feel that way? Why is there resistance? Where does it come from? And just evaluate from that perspective what comes up for you. So let's see. I'll be sharing today 5 things that your daughter wants you to know and 5 things that basically that she needs from you. And be sure to stick around until the end, because after I share the 5 things, I'm going to share with you what you can do moving forward to ensure that the information that I shared with you and that you're internalizing in these past 3 days is implemented in the most successful and productive way to make a really lasting impact on your relationship with your daughter and also your relationship with yourself. So without further ado, here is the first thing that she needs for you to do. That is to listen to hear, not to respond. And this is the biggest one. When you get into the habit of listening to respond, she feels invalidated. She feels like you don't care what she's talking about. Even if what you're doing in response is done out of love and compassion and that desire to help her, she feels it as though you're trying to take over. In the same vein, when you lecture her, yell at her, she shuts down and she doesn't hear what you're saying because there's resistance. So make sure that when you're communicating with her, when she's talking, you're listening to hear her. And if you haven't watched on my YouTube channel How to Talk to Your Teen Daughter, I highly recommend going and watching that, because in that I talk a lot about how to consciously communicate and how to acknowledge and validate your daughter when she comes to you and talks to you about things that are going on in her life. So I highly recommend you watching that to learn the skills of listening. Now, when it comes to supporting her, and that is what you're doing when you're listening to her, there is no level of support that you can give her that's too much. There's no level of support that will be too much. By supporting her unconditionally, you're sending a message to her that you trust her to make her own decisions. You trust her to fail and figure it out. really that knowledge that you have her back no matter what. And sometimes I get resistance on this idea. And the reason why is because the definition that you may have about support may actually be enabling. Support does not mean enabling. When you're supporting her, there are boundaries, there are guidelines, and there are rules. And so she's not going to cross those lines, but your support for her and her decisions that she makes is unwavering. And she knows that no matter what, down the line, that you have her back and that you're there for her. So that is number one. Number two is to get used to and get comfortable with feeling feelings and seeing other people feel feelings. So just ask yourself right now, in this moment, how do you feel when you're around someone who's crying? Whether it be someone you know or whether it is your daughter. What do you do? Do you rush in and try to fix it, help them, comfort them, soothe them, make it better? And that's a natural response. But being comfortable with feeling feelings means that you're comfortable sitting in the space where feelings are happening. It means that you're just comfortable being there and holding space for that person. And that really begins with feeling your own feelings. And so now ask yourself or evaluate, how are you at feeling your own feelings? What happens when you notice that something's coming up for you, that you're getting emotional or you're getting angry? Do you distract yourself or do you allow yourself to feel that feeling? Really sit with it. Even if that means crying, even if that means feeling sad. Because when you're comfortable, when you allow yourself to feel your feelings, you create a space where it's okay for her to allow herself to feel her feelings. So if you find that you're distracting yourself and that you don't actually ride your waves of emotion, I want you to evaluate why and really step into that discomfort. And that will be part of your healing process. And by healing yourself, you'll give her the space to do so in your presence. The next thing, the acronym ABC, always be curious. Always be curious about her decisions, her desires, her dreams, her struggles versus judgmental. So always asking her questions, inquisitory. What's going on here? Why is this happening? How are you feeling? And evaluating if she makes a decision and you see it as a poor decision, instead of saying, well, you shouldn't have done that, start to talk to her, have a conversation. Well, what made you decide that? What happened? Well, how do you feel about the results? And it gets her in the habit of evaluating her results and evaluating her behaviors and deciding consciously if it was the right decision for herself. You could tell her 100 times, don't do that, don't do that, don't do that. But until she decides for herself, this is something I don't want to do, she may repeat it over and over and over. So always approach your relationship with her, your conversations, her behaviors through the lens of curiosity, and being curious also in your response to her behaviors, her actions, her decisions, her interests. Always be curious versus judgmental. And that being said, the next step is to stop judging yourself. Because so often when you're getting curious, or when you're not getting curious and you're getting judgmental, that judgment, how much of that has to be coming from judgment of self? Are you judging yourself? What does this mean about me? And when you're judging yourself, how helpful is that really? So what if you were able to approach yourself and your thoughts about yourself as a mother with compassion, and a true understanding that you made the best decisions that you could have made every time in that situation, with what you were given, with what you were going through, with how you were feeling. And really just remove the judgment from yourself. And just really allow yourself to be okay with where you are. And just fully be compassionate with yourself as a human and as a mom. And know that you're doing your very best. Always. You're always doing your very best. That doesn't mean the results you're getting are what you like, but you're doing the best you can where you are. And this is really a good way to help train her to stop judging herself as well. To be able to view the circumstances in your life with an objective eye allows you to consciously make decisions of where you want to go next. And the same thing is for her. She doesn't need you to tell her what she's doing wrong or what you think about what she's doing wrong. She needs to figure that out for herself. And that goes back to the unconditional support. Always supporting her in the way that you can, and always being compassionate for yourself if maybe it doesn't go as well as you wanted it to. All right, this is the last one, and this is the most important one. Hear me when I say this. Your daughter needs you to deal with your own shit. And pardon my French, but that's what I call it. We are all carrying around a suitcase filled with all the junk from our whole life. And it impacts our relationship with our daughter. It impacts our relationships with everyone. It impacts our careers. It impacts our financial situations. Unless you have the courage to look at yourself and decide, where in my life am I full of shit? And own it, evaluate it, and consciously choose to change it. When you take control of yourself and give yourself the opportunity to heal, to let go of the things that have been impacting your life in a negative way for who knows how long, until you do that, you are going to be using her as a shield, or her to validate your existence, or other things to validate your existence and your experiences in life. And until you consciously take charge of your life and decide for yourself, this is what I want, this is what I'm going to let go, you're constantly going to be looking outward for validation of your existence. So what she really needs you to do, what will help her more than anything, hear me, is for you to help yourself. Help yourself. Heal your past. See where you're self-sabotaging. See where you're full of shit. And really shine a light on it. And be okay with it. Again, with the judgment. Let go of the judgment. Just step into that. This is me. And get really curious. What do I want to do? So, yeah. Take ownership of the results you're creating. And consciously decide what you want to do about that. And so over these past 3 days, I've given you everything that you need to know to understand your daughter, where she is in her world, her fears, her needs. And this is just the beginning. In fact, this is where the work really begins for you. This is where you can start consciously implementing this information in your life. And here's what's going to happen. You're going to listen to this and you're going to be all pumped up and you're going to be like, oh gosh, I'm so ready to make these changes. And then you will. And that awareness will really be there and there will be momentum. And then eventually the old patterns, the old habits will start creeping back in and taking back over until you fall back into the exact same situations that you were in. The exact same challenges will keep on coming up, and you'll be left as you were before. So this is just opening the door to that lasting change and that lasting desire that you have to co-create a really, really good and strong relationship with your daughter. So you'll need support with this. And that's where I come in. What I will do with you is help you evaluate or really unpack that suitcase that you've been carrying around with you. Shine a light on those things that you're doing, those things that you're thinking, those actions you're taking, the relationships that you have, and all of the results. Just put it out on the table and evaluate. Shine a light on it versus hiding it under the rug and pretending it's not there. Facing it, owning it, and then consciously deciding, is this what I want for myself or is it not? And as a coach, I'm there to help you, hold you accountable when you start to fall back into your old patterns, because that is a natural human tendency. You get into a comfort zone and you're used to living a certain way. And when you start to make changes, there's resistance. It's natural. Your brain will resist. And that's where I'm there to hold you up, keep you afloat as you start to adjust to this new concept of yourself and this new vision of what you want to create for yourself in your life. So really, this work is the foundation for changing everything in your life. Not just your relationship with your daughter, your relationship with a spouse, your career, your finances, your health, your spirituality. It impacts all areas of your life. And your relationship with your daughter is just one area of your life that you're holding in your hand and evaluating right now. But all areas of your life will be impacted. And I'm there to hold your hand along the way. I'm there to help support you, allow you to process what's going through your head as your daughter transitions into adulthood, allow you to mourn the loss of her as a child and your relationship and as it's evolving, and allow yourself to really create and own this next phase of your life. And in so doing, knowing 100% that this is only going to help her. Even if that is the main motivator, know that by having an accountability partner and someone in your corner, you don't have to figure it out alone. And that will help you release the judgment, and that will help you take continuous action to get you to where you want to be in your life. That's what I'm here for. So you're here for a reason. Obviously, there's something that you're wanting to address. I highly recommend, if you're ready to really step into that next phase of your life, even if you're not sure what it is, just schedule a consultation with me. It's a super laid back conversation where you'll be sharing where you are, struggles you have, what you'd like to create in your life, and then I will lay out for you exactly what it is that's standing in your way and the steps, the exact steps you can take to get to where you want to be in your life. Super simple. You can ask questions about coaching. We'll see if it's a good fit and move from there. But really, it's the step in you. This first step is scheduling a consultation and creating the next phase of your life consciously. So I'll put a link in the comments to schedule to my calendar, or if it's easier for you, just send me a direct message, comment below. Super simple. We'll find a time that works for both of us. We'll get on the phone and have a conversation, and we'll go from there. So thank you for sticking with me. Thank you for being with me this last 3 days. Just the fact that you were here really does show how much you care about your daughter and how much you want to see her success and succeed in life. So thank you for being here. As always, comment below what you found to be helpful. Any questions you have, I'm here for you. And I will be back. I'm here. And I'm so happy that you're part of this group. I hope it was helpful for you, and I will see you next time.